Hi everybody, welcome to the Rebel News channel. Today we're gonna do a full review of the KRSabers Hero. So let's start with a close-up look, shall we? And welcome back. So now we're gonna take a close-up look on the KRSabers Hero. Let's start with the hilt. We start with the bottom section. I placed the more movie accurate version of the pommel on there, just for display purposes. I just like this pommel more. If you want, KRSabers actually give you additional a sound vented pommel, so you can swap between these two pommels. And here you have the inside of the sound vented pommel. Let me quickly undo the more movie accurate version of the pommel. I think it's a very nice touch from KRSabers to include two different pommels, so you can swap them out whenever you want to. So that's very nice. And then we have the bottom section. The typical, and then we go ahead with the rest of the bottom section. So these are two holes. They are not on a single hole going all the way through this section here. It's actually for the the holes here are actually for the tri ring. So as you can see, the holes are not going through, and these are actually for the tri-ring that you can place behind here. You have to use a tool to open this up, and then use some force to place the two ends together through those holes, and then it keeps that in place. I'm not done yet. I've not done that yet, but I will do in the near future. Then we move up a little bit. And as you can see, is the finish and the milling of this whole section is so gorgeous. It's so silky smooth, and it looks perfect. It just looks amazing, and it's just so nice to the hand. It feels so soft and smooth and nothing sharp, and it just feels wonderful. And then we go a little bit up. And then we have the control section. So you have the two side buttons. Now in the movie, there's a two story to this design of this control box. Normally, the side buttons would be to increase or decrease the length of the blade, the plasma, the blade that comes out. But in the movie, in the deleted scenes and in some other scenes that were in some of the Return of the Jedi scenes, including the deleted scenes, Luke is actually activating and deactivating the lightsaber to these buttons. And Vader's Vault has their own hero version, and they use these side buttons to house the greeblies to activate and deactivate the saber. Now, I really love the control section, and one of the things that I initially thought was this is the control section to start or stop the blade extraction. And that's why also I think KRSabers house the I think KRSabers take in a slightly different direction. They use the control box to power up and power down the lightsaber. So you have the holes for the tactile switches underneath the control box. It's more like the Saber Forge Products of Sun in that respect. So you have one here, and you have another one here. So you can either one can be for booting up or shutting down a lightsaber, and the other one, for example, for special effects or blaster reflex and stuff like that. And it's just very nicely done. It has the copper accents here. This is actually one single plate. Let me just take out the control section. We have the bottom, and then we have the top. nice touch as well from KRSabers is you get two, so you can choose which one you want to use. They definitely are slightly different. This one is much more shiny. This one is much more dull. And then we have another side. You can pick if you want to have a silver side. So again, a lot of options there from KRSabers that they include in the run. So it makes it very nice. You can just mix and match whatever you prefer. So this is the top part of the control section. So you have two hex screws. These two hex screws are used because they have a flat head and they being cut down on the bottom, so they could hold this brass piece in place on this alloy control box area, which you couldn't do with other type of screws. So that's why they use these hex screws. And the funny thing about these screws is these are more or less like retention screws, where you can rise them up or put them more inwards the brass piece by tightening them up or untightening them. The plastic or the rubber of this material actually keeps this control section in place, so it slides over through these slit holes on the side, and then once in place it won't fall out that easy because the plastic pieces keep it in place by pressing upwards. So I think that's a very nice design. It's still a little bit loose though, but I can adjust that. I might add no, that's not possible. The buttons here on the side are static. They're just milled alloy pieces. And then we have two holes for the blinking LEDs. KRSabers give two sets. Actually, this is only for the initial run. We have two actual LEDs here, molded in the arrows, so green and red. These are only received for the early adopters of this hilt, so the first 65 people that bought this hilt get this. The rest of you will get these if you buy one. It's slightly thinner and small. You just super glue them in place, and then you have to place an LED yourself behind them to make it lit and flicker. Not really a big deal or difference. It's just a slight perk for the early adopters. And then we have the control section. I mean, it's a very sturdy control section. We have two screws here. Apparently, according to KRSabers, this piece is like a sticker placed on top of it. So you have that raised/split area look to it. It doesn't feel cheap or something. It doesn't look weird. It's very sturdy. So yeah. Then we go to the grenade section. Grenade section is very nice, dual tone, black anodized, and then the polished sections here. It's nice and deep, sections. Not sharp at all. Nice, comfortable ridges. And we go to the looker of the saber. It's the brass tinning. And we go to the looker part of this hilt, and it's particularly the tin neck area. And this is a very nice piece. You can see it's very silky smooth. Now the tin neck looks very rigid. It's made for very light tapping dueling. Don't do any heavy dueling with it, because this particular saber is not per se made for heavy dueling. This is just more for cosplay / shelf queen, collector's item. You don't want to do I would say don't do any dueling with it, just for the sake of making sure it doesn't break on you. And then we have the top of the emitter section. We got a grub screw here, or a retention screw. Now this is a smaller size than your average Saber Forge grub screw. I will put the size now in the screen. Then we take a look inside this hole here. So we have the top of the emitter section. Nice flat round area. We have a and then we have the top, so you can fit in a 1-inch blade. If you want to house the LED in emitter section, you can leverage the 7.5 of a quarter inch. I hope I say that correctly. I will put the specs here. LED module in here. So you screw it in. You put a non 1 inch. You put a non 1 inch LED star in here. Screw it in like this. Let me show you. So quite a lot of threads here. And then you can use a thin wall blade to house a 1 inch blade here in the outside, and then you have the LED inside the emitter. So that makes it a lot brighter than the alternative of having the emitter housed here. Now for the if you want to house the emitter here, there is no retention screw for the LED in place, so you have to do that yourself. But you have the option to put the LED here, like a 1 inch regular OD heatsink with LED, or a smaller heatsink and LED smaller LED star here, and then have the blade directly on top of it, and then you have your LED shine directly without levering the thin neck section. So one thing I want to point out is, let me just undo that adapter really quick. Okay, so one other thing I want to show you is, let me just unscrew these parts here. I'm going to unscrew the first section of the thin neck. Very nice is it has 1, 2, 4 it has at least 4 screw wires, as you can see, this part here. So if you wish to put the LED in the bottom section, you have to put in some reflective material going all the way through the thin neck to optimize the light shining through that pipe or the thin neck section to get through the blade itself. But nonetheless very nice. And then actually this part can also be unscrewed here. Let's do that very quick so you have a full picture of it. And here we go. Makes it very easy if you want to do it yourself in terms of electronics. You can have a little bit more flexibility by having all the parts unscrewing in different sections, like let's say before it's ASP for example, and then thread it together. But unlike the say before ASP, with the KRSabers you get better threads, less fine and more rigid, and more threads in general, so it's a little more sturdy than the say before ASP parts. And then we have the bottom section. Let's start with the grenade area. It's all black, so it's a little bit hard to see the inside, but it's all silky smooth, all nicely finished off. So, and then the bottom section. I see 2 holes for the tactile switch, and there's a hole in the middle as well. So, and then I'm gonna screw this very quickly together again. Then, lastly, you get 2 different blade blocks. These blade blocks are just for aesthetics. We got the classic blade block. And we got the classic blade block, like Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. Yeah, very nice. And then alternatively, you can also use the leaked pictures of the episode 8 blade block from Luke Skywalker's Return of the Jedi lightsaber. So like this. This is how I currently have it displayed in my display. I really like this blade block. Looks a bit like Obi-Wan's emitter with all these holes around it, etc. So yeah, here you go, guys. So if you're in the market for an accurate Return of the Jedi hero lightsaber from Luke Skywalker, this is one of the options you have. KRSabers is a very good way to go. It's a very high quality piece, milled alloy lightsaber. It's just overall a very gorgeous designed saber, with a lot of eye for high quality. KRSabers is equivalent for quality, so you are assured that you buy a quality piece. And yeah, check them out, go to the website and maybe snatch up one yourself. It's a very limited run though, so be fast. Well, let's go to the verdict area, shall we? Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you liked the in-depth close-up view of the KRSabers hero Hilt. And I'm just gonna do a quick verdict. I have to say, upon receiving this Hilt, I was very impressed with the overall quality, the craftsmanship and the finish of the saber. It's just a pleasure to hold, it's a pleasure to play with. It's a very good looking Hilt. The finish on the alloy is silky smooth and it's beautiful. It's like small and detailed, and it's just a gorgeous Hilt, as Jordan Moore would say it, and it actually is. It's just beautiful. The clamp cards, the control box itself, the tri-ring that I still have to install, which I do in a separate video where we're gonna install that with electronics, and then we're gonna take a look at that. The green and red arrow that will go on the side of the control box, the grenade section, it feels phenomenal. The copper section is very nice, it's so shiny and beautiful. The emitter section again, it's just all lining up beautifully and it's all in the right proportions. And the episode 8 leaked picture blade plug, it also looks fantastic. I cannot wait for episode 8 and walk around with a Luke Hero Skywalker saber, with a Luke Skywalker Hero saber. I mean, this is definitely now my favorite of all the Luke Skywalker Hilt designs. This is definitely my favorite. The tin neck, the control box, the bottom section is my preferred Hilt over the Graflex. But I have to say the Graflex is then again very close in my heart, because I'm in love with the Empire Strikes Back. I think it's my all-time favorite Star Wars movie. Just snow, rebels, training, jungle, like Hong Kong, all these things coming together in one single movie, and God, I love that movie. It's my all-time favorite, and many people are sharing that same feeling with me, I know that. But yeah, just overall a beautiful Hilt. And I mean, if you can get one of these Hilts, you will be so happy with it. Of course, you have to keep in mind, this is not a dual ready saber. This is definitely a cosplay slash shelf queen saber. It's just doing exactly what it needs to do. And what I'm actually gonna do, if everything works out and if I'm on time, I'm gonna get a Vader's Vault Hero saber as well. Then we're gonna do a 1x1 combination, because there's a big tweet on the forum lately regarding the comparison between the KR Hilt and the one from Vader's Vault, like which one is more accurate in terms of proportion, sizing, and blah 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 blah. Both Hilt iterations are guaranteed of quality and craftsmanship. No matter if you go for Vader's Vault or for KRSabers, you are guaranteed to have a high quality piece. That is just my opinion, and the opinion from many other people that has a lot of experience with custom Hilts and whatnot. So I do feel very comfortable in saying that. there is a currently, as I speak, it's the 23rd of July 2016. So when you see this, it's maybe already a few weeks ago. I'm sorry, I'm slow with uploading, guys. But they did a 1 week run at KRSabers, a second run for this hilt, because initially I was one of 65 people, including Jordan Mall. Yeah, Jordan Mall had one as well. That actually were on time to click on buy, and they were sold out within 5 minutes, like literally in 5 minutes. So there's a second run going on now. I don't know how many hilts eventually will be requested to be made, but probably it will be a few hundreds. So, and I presume that will be the final run for now. There might be a third round in the near future, not entirely sure, but it might be that KRSabers actually gonna put this one saber as one of their main hilts if it's popular enough. It's actually very interesting as well, because this hilt is actually quite affordable. Now, KRSabers are located in the UK, so currently, as you may know, the UK is basically going out of the EU again. So the pound is currently dropped by a bit now, so it's actually quite cheap if you live in the States or outside Europe to purchase one, because the pound is lower and you don't have to pay import tax in your in your country probably. Then you have a very nice deal, because I got this saber for around 220 I think 200, let's say 230, 240 US dollar without shipping. And I think that was just a very good deal, because these kind of hilts normally go for a lot more. It's like it's a little bit like the Roman props. Roman props has currently a very good deal for one of their hilts for around 300. I believe it's called the MK2 for around 300 US dollar, and that's a steal, because normally they're around 500-600 US dollar for an empty hilt, and that is often a little bit the price range between 300 to 500 US dollar for these type of custom hilts with a lot of eye to detail, high craftsmanship and whatnot. So from that perspective, it's a very good deal. It also gonna retain the value on these kind of hilts. They will, in the long run, there will be somebody who is willing to pay more than what you originally paid for it, because they're not longer making it, or the company is not longer existing. People want to have this in their collection, and I mean, you can settle with a Saberforge Prodigal Sun, for example, but once you have handled the saber like this, you don't want to go back anymore. The Saberforge Prodigal Sun feels more like a toy then. And the funny thing is, when you have a sort of Saberforge Prodigal Sun, you think, oh my god, this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's fantastic, such a high quality, etc. And it is, till you handled something of a much higher quality, and then you will see, oh wait, okay, wow, that is absolutely the next step, because the dimensions are much more accurate. It's much more like what I don't like about Saberforge, and especially KRSabers, is how much they blow up their design of the hilts. They're so bulky compared to the higher quality hilts. In most cases, the KRSabers Saberforge sabers are much bulkier and bigger than, for example, an high quality crafted lightsaber like this. The dimensions are much more close or accurate to the actual sizes, and then you see, wow, this design or this hilt was actually quite small, and then you start to realize, wow, and you handle that and you think, wow, these sabers are so much more comfortable to handle and to hold. And don't say that all sabers are like that, but often when it's a copy of a movie saber or an iteration of a movie saber from one of the bigger sabersmiths, then you will see that the sizing is always a little bit bulky and big, and fake glued on greeblies and fake looking thing, some similarities to the original one, but it is done in a cheap way, because they have to cut costs. They have to cut costs, say, okay, this is what we can do, and afford to keep that saber still affordable. Where these smaller runs, they just go for quality, they go for a small batch where they can really focus on each individual hilt. I am 100% sure that KR held this saber, was looking at it, inspect it, and say, okay, this is all fine, this is good, this can be shipped out. And other sabers, he said, oh, they have some nicks, there's some imperfections, I'm not going to send this to my clients. This is not going to get. They're not going to get this one. And that is what I like about these kind of high quality runs, because you're ensured that you're going to get quality in your hands. Where with Saberforge, you might get a very nice hilt, or you might get a lemon where buttons are falling off because they're not properly glued on, or the parts are just falling off, or screw wire is stripped or whatnot. You know, you're not entirely sure about the finish and the quality of the overall product. I don't say Saberforge is bad, because I lost Saberforge, that's why I keep buying Saberforge, but you know what I mean. So I would highly recommend to anybody to look at KRSabers, not only for their hilt but also for electronics, etc. And if you're in the market for a high quality Luke Skywalker hero saber, I highly recommend you to look at KRSabers, and perhaps pick one up yourself as well, because these hilts are amazing. I hope you liked the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video, so stay scummy!